Today's video is sponsored by Factor.
Welcome back to Building Character, where we figure out how to play as your favorite fictional characters in Dungeons & Dragons. Join the Patreon to vote for Sinbad the Sailor or King Arthur, and like and subscribe for a longer campaign next time you play. Maybe. Today we're building Qui Gon Jinn, Jedi Master, and a bit of a rebellious one. Yoda says Anakin can't be Qui-Gon's Padawan because he's already got a Padawan. Anakin's also too old to start training and has too much dark side in him. But Qui-Gon's like, nah, I'm gonna do it anyway. And it worked out well for him. Well, not for him, but for the galaxy. Also not for the galaxy, but it's fine. Prequel Yoda is a dingus.
I hate them all, I hate them all! I hate them all, I hate them all!
Let's start off with our goals for this build. First, we need the Force, pushing and pulling and Force tricking the lesser brains. Next, we need a lightsaber, something to carve through battle droids and steal doors. Finally, we need to become a Force ghost. Cheating death is rad, and not just for the Sith, apparently. Hi, if you're like me, you eat food. And if you eat food, you should check out today's sponsor, Factor. Factor is a meal delivery service that sends you tasty, healthy, and fresh food options prepared by gourmet chefs. There's so much I love about Factor. Number one, their food is delivered fresh. It's never frozen, so it never loses any flavor. It's also really fast. You don't have to cook anything. You just pop it in the microwave for a few minutes and boom, you've got food. I've been trying to get in better shape for a video that might or might not come out later. And after I get done working out for an hour, I don't want to spend an hour cooking. I just want to eat. Speaking of getting in shape, there are plenty of great food options depending on your diet. You've got keto, calorie smart, vegan, or vegetarian options. There's a ton of different meals you can choose from and figure out what works best for you.
Head to go.factor75.com/Tulok130 and use offer code Tulok130 to get $130 off your first 6 boxes. Click the link in the description and go get eating.
For stats, we'll be using the standard point buy from the player's handbook. Roll for stats if you want, just keep your multi-classing minimums in mind. Charisma and strength up at 14. You need to execute the will of the Force. Sometimes that's magic, sometimes that's hitting stuff with a magic sword. Intelligence and wisdom at 12. You need some mental stamina to resist the dark side. Dexterity at 11. I'd like it higher, but we need other stuff more, and we'll dump Constitution at 10. Not really dumping it, but if Qui-Gon has a weakness, it's getting stabbed. That's a pretty common weakness. Qui-Gon is a human, a space human, but a human nonetheless. That'll give you a feat like telekinetic, raising a stat by 1 like charisma, giving you the mage hand cantrip for free, and enhancing it if you already have it, which you already will. So that's a cantrip that gives you a floating spectral hand that can lift objects of 10 pounds or less within 60 feet of you. It's normally 30, but yours is better. You can also shove creatures 5 feet as a bonus action if they fail a strength saving throw. Force push is basic, but it's fun. We'll get another one later that hurts more. Bump your strength and charisma with your 2 free points, take insight for your skill of choice, and modify the knight background for athletics and persuasion proficiency. Knight is already a variation of the noble background. I feel like a knight should probably be able to lift. What's the point of protecting the aristocracy if they don't let you use the gym? Speaking of serving things, the Force. We'll kick things off as a warlock, letting you grab 2 skills from the warlock list like religion and history to know how the Force works. You can even call midichlorians, the best part of Star Wars lore, your patron. It's a weird, abstract space bug colony that controls everything for some weird reason. It's a great old one. They're weird space monsters that are very bad at giving specific direction. Still, that'll give you an awakened mind to communicate telepathically within 30 feet of you, which will help you strategize with your Padawan. For your cantrips, Mage Hand is necessary if you want the strong one from Telekinetic, and Eldritch Blast will let you deal some damage with a Force push, firing a ranged spell attack that deals 1d10 force damage. It's literally force damage, it's so perfect, or it would be if it pushed people. Charm Person is the perfect Jedi mind trick. It's a first level spell that forces a wisdom saving throw on a humanoid. Failing that, they're charmed by you for an hour. Little dark that this means that Toydarians aren't humanoids, since there's a lot of not so subtle stereotypes attached to Watto, but let's move on and assume nothing in fictional media has any deeper meaning whatsoever. Expeditious Retreat lets you dash as a bonus action for up to 10 minutes, depending on your concentration. It's not all that exciting, but the Force lets you move fast. Second level Warlocks get Invocations, little Force powers that make you better than a battle droid. Repelling Blast pushes a creature you hit with an Eldritch Blast 10 feet back. You could even pair it with a Telekinetic Shove with your bonus action to really get someone moving. Agonizing Blast lets you add your Charisma modifier to the damage of your Eldritch Blast attacks. If you can't grab Hold Person because it's a dark side spell, this will still give you an option to put some hurt on people. Third level Warlocks can choose a Pact Boon, a gift from the Force like a Pact of the Blade. That'll give you a magical weapon you can conjure to yourself as an action. That means you can pull your lightsaber to you and you don't have to worry about enemy resistances as much. You can also learn second level spells here from the Goo list. Detect Thoughts lets you read surface level thoughts of creatures in the area, and you can probe deeper if they fail a wisdom saving throw. I'm sensing a lot of fear in Anakin. Weird that the slave kid who just got got drafted into the space military and pulled away from his mother is scared. What a baby. 4th level warlocks get an ability score improvement. Let's start by rounding up your strength and dexterity. Odd numbers don't help you, but strength will help you hit with a longsword. That's what I'd recommend for Qui Gon's lightsaber, by the way. And dexterity will boost your AC if you're not wearing heavy armor, which you're not. The Jedi like to keep it breezy. For this level spell, suggestion is a more intense mind trick, forcing a wisdom saving throw on a creature. Failing that, they have to do a simple, non-harmful task for up to 8 hours depending on your concentration. I like to recommend digging a 30-foot hole. It will also take a lot of time, and by the end of it, they'll be very tired and at the bottom of a big hole. Also, I like the Shia LaBeouf movie. Let's get a little more holy warrior flavor though by jumping over to Paladin, giving you divine sense to detect celestials, fiends, or undead within 30 feet of you. Not super useful for a Jedi. Can you imagine if there were undead in Star Wars? That would feel weird. Best not to use this, especially when hanging out with senators from Naboo. Lay on Hands lets you heal a creature from a pool equal to 5 times your Paladin level when you touch them. Force healing is more of a video game thing, but it's certainly helpful for stomach wounds. 2nd level Paladins can choose a fighting style. Great weapon fighting lets you reroll 1s and 2s on damage die with weapons you're wielding two-handed. I think Qui Gon generally two-hands his lightsaber. It also gives you a 50% strength boost and is objectively cooler than using a shield. Ooh, that's Elden Ring brain, sorry. You also learn Paladin spells, which are pretty fantastic for space wizards. Divine Favor adds a d4 of radiant damage to your weapon attack, so if you didn't like me saying a lightsaber was a magical weapon instead of a laser weapon, now there's no issue. It's both. Heroism makes a creature immune to fear and gives them temporary HP equal to your charisma modifier every turn, helping to keep the damage off your Padawan's real HP. Compelled Duel is also good for that, forcing a wisdom saving throw on a creature. Failing that, they have disadvantage on attack rolls against creatures who aren't you, and they have to make a wisdom saving throw to move more than 30 feet away from you. Hopefully you can handle Darth Maul solo in this duel of fates. Divine Smite could help with that. It's not a spell, but it uses spell slots to add 2d8 radiant damage to a melee weapon attack and an additional d8 against fiends or undead. Apparently, Darth Maul isn't a fiend. He's just named Death Badman and has devil horns. Really subtle character work there. 3rd level Paladins can choose a sacred oath. The Oath of Redemption is great for a guy who wants the Jedi Order to stop focusing on chastity and remember how to be human. You can channel divinity in one of 2 ways. Emissary of Peace lets you add +5 to your persuasion checks, which pairs really well with Charm Person, giving you advantage. Hopefully you can talk things out and avoid a Star War. Rebuke the Violent lets you force a wisdom saving throw on a creature when someone is hurt within 30 feet of you, dealing the same amount of damage to them if they fail, half damage if they succeed. Since it's radiant damage, obviously you're just hitting them with your lightsaber. 4th level Paladins get another ability score improvement. Let's work on your charisma. Sure, fighting is cool, but there's a lot more talking in episode 1. Unfortunately, Jar Jar does most of it. He has a real spotlighting problem. 5th level Paladins get an extra attack, letting you make 2 attacks instead of 1 with your action. Each can have a smite for some very hefty damage. Qui Gon is ending up as a bit of a glass cannon, which makes sense. I've made a lot of jokes about him dying, but the guy didn't even make it to the Clone Wars. You also get 2nd level Paladin spells from the Redemption list. Calm Emotions forces a charisma saving throw on creatures, making them non-hostile and removing effects of charming or frightening. Would have been really nice for Anakin. Maybe if you lived, you wouldn't have gone all fashy. 6th level Paladins get an Aura of Protection, letting allies within 10 feet of you add your charisma modifier to all their saving throws. You're always within 10 feet of yourself, so it's pretty much +4 to all your saving throws at this point. Very important later. Very important now too. This ability is silly strong. 7th level Redemption Paladins get Aura of the Guardian, letting you use your reaction to take damage for another creature within 30 feet of you. It's probably better when you have a bunch of HP, but sacrificing yourself for a Padawan is such a cool move, and it's definitely going to be something your party members hang on to for the rest of the campaign. I had a PC of mine die in the 3rd session of like a 12-session story. He's my favorite boy ever. I love him so much. 8th level Paladins get another ability score improvement. Cap off your charisma modifier for the maximum protection of your 2 Padawans. One is a helpless little baby boy, and the other one's Anakin Skywalker. He's pretty important. Back over to Warlock now. 5th level Warlocks get another Invocation. Improved Packed Weapon adds 1 to the attack and damage rolls with your Packed Weapon, making all of your strikes a little more accurate and a little more impactful. You can also learn 3rd level spells. Spirit Shroud emboldens you with the spirits of Jedi who came before, adding a d8 of radiant, necrotic, or cold damage to your weapon attacks. Go Radiant. It slows your enemies down by 10 feet and prevents them from healing. You can still stack smites on top of that d8 to really destroy the dark side. 6th level Goo Warlocks get Entropic Ward, letting you give a creature disadvantage on an attack roll as a reaction. If that forces them to miss, you have advantage on your next attack against them. Hexblade obviously gets all the love for Warlock gishing, but Goo can really make excellent duelists. For this level spell, Counterspell shuts down spells of 3rd level or lower automatically, and higher level spells with a charisma check of 10 plus the spell's level. If you can shut down the dark side's force powers, that means they have to fight you with a lightsaber, and you're really good at fighting with a lightsaber. 7th level Warlocks get another Invocation. Armor of Shadows lets you cast mage armor on yourself at will, setting your AC to 13 plus your dexterity modifier when you're not wearing armor. It's kind of a flavor choice since you have proficiency with medium armor, but if you insist on rocking those Jedi robes, this is a +3 boost. I don't actually want any 4th level spells, so grab Sending, letting you send a message to a creature on the same plane as you, or even other planes with a 5% failure rate. Touch base with the Jedi Council, but don't worry about it if they don't like what you're doing. 8th level Warlocks get another ability score improvement. Start working on your strength with improved packed weapon. It's pretty much like you have a capped off strength score already, at least in terms of fighting. 9th level Warlocks can learn 5th level spells. Contact Other Plane lets you talk to a creature on another plane. They can be dead if you need some advice from a Force ghost, and ask up to 5 questions. The answers will be short. Apparently the reception is terrible in the afterlife. You have to make a DC 15 intelligence saving throw for this to be successful. Failing that, you have to shut down until you take a long rest. Aura of Protection lets you add your charisma modifier to that saving throw, making you more likely to get advice instead of a migraine. You also get another invocation. Otherworldly Leap lets you cast the jump spell at will, tripling your jump distance for a minute, giving you a 54-foot horizontal jump or a 24-foot vertical jump, which is probably more than your movement speed. So basically you have a flying speed with some big old Jedi hops. 10th level Goo Warlocks get a Thought Shield, meaning your mind can't be read and you have resistance to psychic damage. Whenever you take psychic damage, the creature who dealt that damage to you also takes that psychic damage. It's like free Intellect Fortress, but debatably better. For this level spell, Telekinesis lets you lift objects of 1,000 pounds or less with the Force and move them 30 feet with an action. If that lifted target is a person, they can make an athletics check against your charisma check, so hopefully they capped off strength. Otherwise, they're going up. 11th level Warlocks get a 6th level Mystic Arcanum spell, which recovers on long rests rather than short rests like the rest of your wizard spells. True Seeing is a bit anticlimactic, but it gives a creature 60 feet of true sight, so Qui Gon Jinn can see through the lies of the dark side. But could he see why kids love Cinnamon Toast Crunch? Our capstone is the 12th level of Warlock. For one last ability score improvement, cap off your strength score to make sure you're never ever missing. You also get one final invocation. Grasp of Hadar lets you pull a creature 10 feet closer to you when you hit them with an Eldritch Blast attack, in case you'd rather get started in a melee fight a little bit faster. Now that we've hit level 20, let's figure out how viable this build is. First, your minimum saving throw is +5, and you share that protection with your Padawans as well. You can also dish out some big damage with Divine Smites, Spirit Shroud, and a guaranteed +1 magical weapon to make sure you're turning battle droids into scrap metal. Finally, you've got great utility, mind reading, interplanar messaging, and big charisma. That should let you get things done without fighting. And that's kind of important because your HP isn't all that great. A little over 110 depending on how you rolled, which is less than ideal if you're looking to duel people. Your AC is also pretty bad. Even in medium armor, your best option is 16. If you're playing the character, you're down at 14, making you really easy to hit for late game foes. Finally, there are much better late game invocations than Grasp of Hadar. I just needed a Force Pull. If you don't mind a little evilish flavor, Life Drinker will make you hit much harder. But Qui-Gon would never be tempted by the dark side. He's maybe the closest a Jedi has come to achieving balance, with a sense of duty from the light side, but not ignoring the passion and emotions monopolized by the dark side. Serve as a role model to a new player, show them the power of a good gish, and leave a long-lasting impact on your campaign, even if the time in your campaign will be a bit short. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, subscribe for more. We make 2 videos every week. Join the Patreon to vote for Sinbad the Sailor or King Arthur, and sub to Tulok and Mango for more Tulok fun.